Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So we'll continue with our curriculum. The next chapter is miscellaneous words. So the first one is what we call is or id. It's a special mudaf of time and place, which is called a zarf. It means when, and it translates into the past tense always. It comes with noun and verb sentences, and it comes with present / future and the past tense fi'l as well. So id translates into the past tense, and it means when. Even if it comes with the present tense, it's still translated into the past. So for example, here we have id tadhabu, when you left. So tadhabu is actually a present tense fi'l, but still is translated into the past because of id. The next word is idha. It's a special mudaf of time and place, which is called zarf, same as the id. But it means suddenly when it comes before a noun sentence. So if you see idha before a noun sentence or before an ism, then it will translate as the word or suddenly. And if it comes with noun and verb sentences, and it comes with the present tense as well as the past tense fi'l. Now when it comes before a fi'l, it creates a conditional statement, which means, for example, when you say when A happens, B will happen. So meaning, if you go to school, you will get a chocolate, something like that. So it's a conditional statement. So it means when, and it translates into the future tense when it comes before a fi'l or a verb sentence. And if it comes with a past tense, then it indicates a single event, and it's still translated into the future. Because it's a conditional statement, it's obviously into the future. Idha meaning when in the future. When you do this, then this will happen. But if it comes with a past tense fi'l, it indicates a single event, and it's still translated into the future tense. But if it comes with a present tense fi'l, then it indicates a repeated event, and it's still translated into the future. So some examples would be in the noun sentence, فَإِذَا هِيَ ثُؤْبَانٌ مُبِينٌ, which means then, because idha is coming with a noun sentence, because hiya is a noun, is an ism, then it will be translated the idha as suddenly. So this means then suddenly it became a manifest snake. It became a clear and obvious snake. So when it comes with a verb sentence, so we have here idha zahabta ila baytika ta'kulu. It means when you go to your house, you will eat. So the habda is actually a past tense fi'l, but it's still translated into the future because of the idha. And then you can see it becomes like a conditional statement. Idha, when you go to your house, you will eat. And you notice that idha doesn't have any grammatical effects on any of the words either, unlike other conditional words, which inshallah we'll speak about in the future. The next word is yawma, which is again a special mudaf of time and place, which is known as a zarf. It means day, and it translates to mean the day on which. So it comes with a noun and the present tense verb sentences. So for example, we have yawma tashhadu alayhim al-sinatuhum, and this means the day on which their tongues will testify against them. And then we have qad, which means already and is used for emphasis, and it only comes with verb sentences, and it has no grammatical effect on other words. When it comes with a past tense, it's called the harf ta'kiki. When it comes with a present tense fi'l, it's called harfu taklili. And then we have sa and sofa, and they only come with present tense fi'l, and it pushes the meaning into the future tense, and they have no grammatical effect on other words. Sofa translates as soon in the future, which is more nearer in time compared to sa. So both pushes the present tense into the future tense, sofa and sa, but sofa means sooner compared to sa. So an example, we sofa ta'lamuna, so very soon you all will know. And this is translated into the future tense, and ta'lamun is a present tense fi'l. And then we have imma, which means either, and it's always used twice in a sentence. So you say either A or B, and it has no grammatical effects on other words, and it's called the harfu takhririn. An example here would be imma an tazhaba imma la. So either you go or not. And you notice the an, it makes the tazhaba light, because it's one of those letters that makes a present tense light. Otherwise the normal version is tazhabu. So imma an tazhaba imma la, either you go or not. And then we have what we call the fi'l shuru'i, and these are fi'ls that come before another fi'l to indicate the beginning of an action. So for example, Yusuf began eating. So the fi'l shuru'i is the word began, and the normal fi'l is the eating. So the fi'l shuru'i can have an outside dua like a normal fi'l. So these are fi'l shuru'i, are fi'ls that come before another fi'l to indicate the beginning of an action. So there's some fi'l shuru'i in this table. So if we just go through it, so the fi'l is tafika is the past tense and yadfuku is the present tense. This means to begin quickly. So if you want to indicate an action that began very quickly, then you can use tafika yadfuku. And the next is bada'a, which is the past tense, and yabda'u is the present tense, which means again to begin. And ja'ala yaj'alu, ja'ala is the past tense and yaj'alu is the present tense. It means to begin when it's used as a fi'l shuru'i. So meaning if you saw ja'ala, then you saw another fi'l next to it, then the ja'ala would mean to begin. But if it's by itself, normally ja'ala yaj'alu means to make. And akhaza yaquzu, again, if it's used as a fi'l shuru'i, so it comes before a fi'l, then it means to begin. Otherwise, normally it means to take or seize. Ahaza is the past tense, ya'khuzu is the present tense. Our next set of words is what we call ta'ajjubun, which means showing surprise, and it can be used to show a negative or a positive amazement or surprise. So for example, a positive amazement would be how smart he is, and a negative amazement is how rude he is. And so some examples, we have ni'ma, which shows a positive amazement, and a bitsa, which shows a negative amazement. So they are both fi'il, both are lazim, which means intransitive, they do not take a maf'ul bihi, and therefore they cannot have a passive version. They're often followed by an ism in the rafa status, which is the outside dua. In the Holy Quran, only the huwa versions of the fi'il are used. So examples, bi'sa al-mihadu, which means what a terrible resting place. So bi'sa means it's a negative way of showing amazement. So you say what a terrible, but mihadu, if you notice, it's rafa and it's an ism which comes after the fi'il, bi'sa, and therefore it's the outside dua. So you say what a terrible resting place. And the ni'ma thawabu, again ni'ma is the fi'il, and the thawabu is the ism that comes after it. It's the outside dua, it's in rafa status. And then ni'ma indicates a positive, surprise. So we say what an excellent, and thawab means reward. So we say what an excellent reward. And then we have here another one, ma af'alahu, which translates as how something he is. So again, you want to show amazement. So you can say how amazing he is, or how this he is, or how that he is. So it's made up of three parts. The first is the ma, which is the ma of showing astonishment. So this is a different type of ma than from the previous ones. The second word tells what the shocking trait is. So whatever the shocking trait the person possesses or the thing possesses, the second word shows that, and it always follows the pattern of af'ala. So we use af'ala or fa'ala. So the three root letters, when we're talking about three root letters, the first root letter here is the fa, the second is the ain, and the third is the lam. So the hamza alif at the start has been added to it. So whatever three root letters you've got, you can replace the fa, the ain, and the lam, and use the same pattern, af'ala pattern, and then that produces whatever the shocking trait is. And the last word explains who possesses the shocking trait. So ma'afala hu, which is an attached pronoun for huwa, which means him or he. So examples here would be ma akfarahu, which means how disbelieving he is. So the ma and akfara, if you look at the three root letters, kafara, it refers to disbelief. Kafara yakfuru, to disbelieve. So ma akfara, how disbelieving who he is. So the who is the attached pronoun who, which comes from the independent pronoun huwa. And then the next one is ma akmakaha. So this means how foolish he is. So akmaka, so ha maka, those three root letters represents the word that refers to foolishness or stupidity, and the attached pronoun at the end is ha, which represents the hiya version, which is the independent pronoun, so it refers to her. So ma akmakaha, how foolish she is. And the other one is af'il bihi, and this translates similar as the other one, how something he is, and it's made up of two parts. The first word mentions the shocking trait, and it follows the pattern of af'il. So again, just take the three root letters that you want and replace the fa, which is the first root letter, the second root letter ain, and replace the lam, which is the third root letter, and follow the pattern af'il. And the harf of jar bi with a majrur attached to it explains who possesses the shocking trait. So an example would be asmi bihim wa absir, which means how amazingly they will hear and see. So you can see asmi bihim. So asmi follows the pattern af'il, but the three root letters is samiya, which means to hear. Samiya yasma'u, to hear. So asmi, so how amazing they, and then bihim, the b attaches to who has the amazing or shocking trait, and it's the attached pronoun him, which refers to the independent pronoun hum, which means they. So that's what this means, how amazing they will hear. And wa absir, and absir, same follows the pattern of af'il again, but basara is to see. So basara yabsuru, or absara yubsuru as well. So absir, to see. So that's why it's how amazing they will hear and see. The next thing is the ataf upon the pronoun. So an ataf, which is a connecting word, such as waw, can only come between two similar words. For example, two isms. It can't come between an ism and a fi'l. It can only come between two similar words. So an example here we have is I and my brother ate. So we've written down akaltu wa akhi. And this would be wrong from an Arabic grammar point of view. You can't say it like this, as an ataf, which is the wa in this case, cannot come between a fi'l and an ism. So if you see akaltu is a fi'l, which means I ate, and akhi is an ism. So you have a fi'l and an ism and an ataf in between, so that you can't do that in Arabic. So what you have to do, the correct way of saying it would be akaltu ana wa akhi. So the pronoun ana, which is an ism, within the fi'l akaltu. So if you look at the past tense fi'l akaltu, which means I ate, the original independent pronoun is ana, which means I. So you pull that out of akaltu and you put it in front of it. And so therefore the ataf, which is the wa in this case, is between two isms. So it's between ana, which is an ism, and akhi, which means my brother, and that's an ism too. So therefore you say akaltu ana wa akhi. So I ate, me and my brother. And the next one is the and and when they come together they produce a meaning whether or whether. So meaning whether this or whether that. So an example would be anzartahum am lam tunzirhum. So this means whether you warn them or whether you do not warn them. So you can see the and the And the next is the ism tafdeel, which we call comparatives, and then they can become superlatives. So the comparative is when you compare two things. So this is bigger than that, this is smaller than that, he's cleverer than him. Whereas a superlative is the extreme version. So meaning, instead of saying this is better, you say this is the best. Instead of saying he's cleverer than him, he's the cleverest. So it's the extreme version. And it follows the pattern af'alu. Again, the 3 root letters can replace the fa, the ain and the lam, depending on what you want to speak about. So af'alu. And ism tafdil can become a superlative, so you can change a comparative word, make a comparative into a superlative. So you can change, for example, where we say, instead of saying he is bigger than him, you can say he is the biggest. So to go from bigger to biggest, to go from a comparative to a superlative, we can add an al to it to make it a superlative, or we can make the ism tafdil into a mudaf. So if the comparative, the ism tafdil, if it was a mudaf, then it automatically becomes a superlative. Or if you add an al to it, it becomes a superlative as well. So some examples would be here. So the ism tafdil or the comparative is akbaru, which means greater. But then if we added an al to it and said al akbaru, then that means the greatest, which is a superlative. Yeah. Or we could make akbaru a mudaf, and that would also make it change the meaning from greater to the greatest if we made it a mudaf. Or like, for example, we said akbara akbaruhum, which means the greatest of them. So akbaru, which actually means greater, when we make it a mudaf, akbaruhum, the greatest of them, then the word akbaru becomes superlative, the greatest of them. So the next one is aktharu, which means more. If you put an al on it, it becomes a superlative, which al-aktharu, which means the most. And then ahsanu, which means better. If we put an al on it, it becomes al-ahsanu, which becomes the best. So ahsanu hum, for example. So you can, if you want to make it superlative, you can turn it into a mudaf as well. So ahsanu hum would mean the best of them, because we wouldn't say better of them, we say the best of them, because ahsanu is a mudaf, and that makes the comparative into a superlative. The ism tafdil as a mudaf can take 3 forms. So the ism tafdil, which is a comparative, as a mudaf, so it can take 3 different forms. So here's an example of 3 different forms. So the first one is akbarul kitabi. So you notice that this means the greatest part of the book. So in each case, akbaru, which is a comparative, will become a superlative in each case because it's a mudaf. But the meaning slightly changes depending on the mudaf ilay. So if you look at the characteristics of the mudaf ilay, the full meaning can change. So for example, akbarul kitabi, which is the first one, means the greatest part of the book. The reason why I say part of the book is because the mudaf ilay, which is al-kitabi, is singular and proper. It's proper because of the al, and it's singular because it's referring to one book. So it's the greatest part of the book. But in the second example, we have akbarul kutubi, which means still the greatest, because in each case it will be the greatest, because the comparative akbaru is a mudaf, so automatically becomes a superlative, which means the greatest. So it's the greatest, but in this case it's the greatest of the books, which is different from the first example, which is the greatest part of the book. So the second one is the greatest of the books. This is because the mudaf ilay is plural, which is kutubi, is plural, more than one, and it's proper because of the al. So when the mudaf ilay is plural and proper, then you get the meaning of the books, or of the greatest of the books. And the last example is akbaru kitabin, which means the greatest book. And this is because the mudaf ilay is singular, so kitab is referring to one book, and it's common because there's no al on it. It's heavy as well, kitabin, you can see kitabin. So akbaru kitabin, the greatest book. And you can apply these to any comparative, and it gives the same type of meaning as long as the mudaf ilay matches these characteristics in each case. So this is like the template for the different comparatives used as a mudaf. The next one is Allah, which means to or that not. So it's a combination of lam, of negation, and the word an. And if you remember, an makes a present tense in the light form. So Allah is a combination of lam, which is the negation, and an, both of them put together to make Allah. So the example here will be ma lakum alla ta'kulu, and what is wrong with you all that you do not eat. So if you see alla ta'kulu, it's a negation. That's where it says do not, because it's the negation. So because the lam is inside it, and the word an is there, which means to. And ta'kulu, if you notice, has become light because of the an. Because normally it's ta'kulu na, because it's a wa and a noon ending combination. When we have the word an, we make it light. We drop the noon, so it becomes ta'kulu. So as per usual, at the end of every chapter, we always advise to go through the vocabulary list chapter at the end of this book. Ideally, at the end of every session, this curriculum is studied so that your Arabic grammar knowledge increases with your vocab knowledge, inshallah.